Alright, so I'm trying to platinum over 100 games in a list created by the community. Now, if I can't do this before the channel hits 850,000 subscribers, then I will shave my head bald and look like a base character from a video game. So make sure to drop a like and subscribe. Alright, so today I chose to platinum Control. This game came out in 2019 and was pretty revolutionary upon release, impressing the masses into it getting some awards at the Game Awards itself. However, after playing it to platinum today, I can quite confidently say that I have no clue what the hell this game is about. Aside from that, Control has 47 trophies including the platinum, and it's fairly quick to complete if we are being honest here. So stage 1 of getting the platinum is to just beat the story like every other story game to ever exist. Control opens up with a cutscene in this very odd looking world that seems to be run down or abandoned kind of. Also, there's some ominous and eluding text being said into my ears to make it even more immersive, if you will. But this also is the first point of wondering and confusion, because then we just take control of our main character being named Jesse. Yes, the same one from the Disney Channel. And we are inside the Federal Bureau of Control, another useless and expensive government agency, shout out taxpayers. But it had us just kind of wander around the first area until we met this janitor named Ati. And if you're very cultured within video games or just terminally online like myself, you'll notice that this is actually the same janitor from the Alan Wake games. And so the confusion intensifies. But aside from that reference and kind of tell that this game is sort of in the same universe as Alan Wake, Ati tells us to go to work and continue down the hall to get there. So I did just that, and then it actually just triggers the intro ending cutscene once I got a bit further down the hall. In this cutscene, there was then more spooky stuff happening and also credits. But as we all know, all good pieces of media give us credits in the intro, and that's on God. Anyways, my first real mission was then to investigate the director's office, that being the director of the FBC that we are in. And upon opening the door, the director is no longer with us. Days since workplace incident is now 0, the real tragedy. Anyways, I also had to pick up the gun that did it, and this gun is called our service weapon, I think, but it's also special in the fact that only one with power can use it and not die or something. Essentially, you have to be the chosen one is what I can gather from my experience playing. There was then some more cutscenes explaining stuff in the game and talking about altered world events, which are a major part of this game. And it's basically just inanimate objects that start moving and altering reality. So if you've played Alan Wake or know what it is, this game is a lot like that, especially seeing as they are related in a sense. But basically throughout this game we have to battle inanimate objects that get very scary and people possessed with hiss, which is a red mist that controls people and makes them evil. Sorry for the spark notes already, but I feel like it's best to get them out of the way, just so I don't have to worry about explaining a game in which I also have no idea what's really happening. Oh my god! But back to the trophies, which is why we are here. I got my first one after I completed this parkour and reached the gun of power, becoming the chosen one as I said earlier. So now that we have the service weapon, we can really begin to just start raking up murders on individuals like it's the good old days. And I then got sent further into the bureau, having to eliminate a lot of hiss enemies on the way because the red mist or general hiss has corrupted this entire facility, and that's not good seeing as taxpayer dollars are already being wasted here. But after making it a decent length, we met another big side character named Pope, and she kind of serves as our secretary, seeing as we are now the director. The one who wields the gun has the power to control them all. That's what I'm saying. And after being told that we are now the director, Pope also says that we have to go help them fight off the hiss, which is the main plot point for this game, just kind of going around and cleansing the FBC. There is also a plot point with Jesse's brother, but that's a bit later on and also kind of insignificant to be honest. For now, I just got another story trophy for finishing that intro up completely. We then got another mission, and it was to go cleanse an object of power, which is the goal for a multitude of missions throughout the game. However, this time upon reaching it, we also got sent to the astral plane, which is that world where we found the gun in a few minutes ago. And this happens a lot actually when interacting with objects of power. However, not every single time. But every time you do go into one of these, you always get a special boost or ability from it. This one was the launch ability, where you can pick up items or just pieces of the ground and throw it at enemies when your ammo is out. After finishing the challenge, I unlocked launch and got another trophy as you'd expect. I then went back to speak with Pope again, and her name is also Emily, I think. I'm not sure why she has 2 names, but bitches be entitled nowadays. Anyways, we talked and then got a cutscene saying we need a team to help us take down the evil in the game, and it then showed us the maintenance sector of the facility we are in, which is then our next goal, to go there. And I got a trophy after that ended. There was also around 5 or 6 different levels of the game, by the way, maintenance being one of them and where we are headed now, of course. And the initial goal was to find Ati the janitor again because he has his own little room down here. Once we found him though, there was then just a very awkward conversation. This is what I imagine it's like talking to people within my drunk dreams, just making zero fucking sense at all. Anyways, we then headed to talk to a person with more than 34 brain cells, and it was the security chief. He then gave us a goal of clearing the pumps in this place because they are cluttered and clogged up with enemies and goo and not good things overall. But inside the pump room, I also cleaned my 5th control point of the game. These are just points where you can fast travel to around the map and also access upgrades and crafting later on. And literally a minute after that, I got another trophy trophy from just unlocking my first upgrade in the skill tree, which is massive by the way, and I just died a little bit more inside. We then really did go after those damn pumps, and it took a long ass time to cleanse them, but then before we were done fixing shit, I also had to go override the internal lockdown, which doesn't seem like a great idea seeing as the place where you're in is kind of in ruin, but whatever game, I'll do what you ask of me like a slave. And speaking of slaves, we then talked to Pope, our Directorial slave, and yeah, that was fun. She then gave us another story trophy and a new main story mission. This one had us searching after a dude named Marshall. Sounds like he owns a train set or something.
Shut the
But while searching for him, I also got a trophy for cleansing 10 control points, which is 5 more than 5 that I also got a trophy for. God, I'm a genius. Anyways, we finally found Marshall, who was also a girl, by the way. And I know it seems like that took 40 seconds to do, but it actually took like 40 minutes because I got lost and confused with what was happening. But this is Marshall, and I swear to God, that's Will Smith's husband. But she/he/it gave us the next mission to find Darling's HRA lab. Now, Darling isn't some cute girl with daddy issues, but instead just some smart dude who was like a pioneer in all of these altered world events and also kind of makes them, I think, or something like that. And while chasing him down, I also collected 40 collectibles in the game total for a trophy. There is a few collectible trophies in this game, but almost all of them are gotten naturally or just near story objectives. Anyways, I finally reached my goal, and we had to then turn on this machine Darling made to activate the HRAs, and after a cutscene played with it, basically not working, we got another story trophy. Now, the material used in making these things is called a black rock crystal. So the game then took us on a fucking ride to find a black rock crystal in the black rock quarry. This was also pretty torturous, I can't lie, and I wish I didn't have to endure the torture, but on the adventure to find a black rock crystal, I experienced a lot about this game and its numerous mechanics. One of which was making a weapon form or mod, and I got a trophy from doing that. And I then finally made it to the quarry, which was just full of enemies and they hurt my insides. I did get one of the crystals though, and then I went back and spoke with Marshall again, and we got an extreme close-up of Jesse's eyes. Also, a trophy pop from the story. We then diverted our saving the Bureau objective to chase down Jesse's brother, who was also a patient/experiment in this facility, so that's great. And on the way to getting him, I got a trophy from killing 50 enemies with the launch ability total. I also made it to another astral plane and unlocked the levitate ability, which I think caused more death than helpfulness to me in total, but it's alright, I got another trophy from that. And then we were finally able to reach our brother's cell, and it's all destroyed. The hiss also got him, so he's like low-key evil and possessed now. Also, he needs a new haircut. That is tragic. But after those cutscenes, another story trophy did pop, so I forgive. And it turns out our brother actually just quote-unquote turned himself into the FBC people because he was just put up in a cell back at Command Center. The family reunion wasn't quite what Jesse had imagined though, since he is kind of insane. You know, being tested on your whole life in a government facility might do that to you, who knows. Anyways, I then went on a different mission of finding the ordinary AWE facility within this big facility. And this is sort of an area of the game that has a lot of keys and clues to our backstory and also how all this paranormal stuff has happened. But on the way, I fought a lot of enemies and also gathered 100,000 total source, which is just the game's currency kind of for a trophy. And then a while later, I made it to my goal and we had to search this replicate dump for the slide projector because that is the original source item that caused everything, at least we think. And after finding it, there was then some more ominous cutscenes and another trophy pop from the story. We then had to go find the janitor again, and this is also nearing the end of the game, so these last missions are kind of all bangers. But also, I did get lost and very confused. You know, having walls that disappear right in front of you will do that on occasion. But we basically had to follow Ati the janitor's visions, since Lord knows a janitor will have seen some shit in his time. And they led us to this very scary and creepy part of the game that just feels evil. However, I did get a trophy, so there is some light at the end of the tunnel. And speaking of the end of the tunnel, we finally caught up to Ati and his visions, which just had him cleaning. The grind never stops, and I got another trophy. Oh yeah, and that led us to more wall and path changing rooms, but this time there was a lot of enemies and I actually did die a few times, which brings me to this game's combat. It's kind of good, but also kind of makes me want to shove my toes into a door and slam it shut. Take that however you want to. But this place is called the Ashtray Maze, and you have to navigate it to reach another location called Dimensional Research. After doing that, I also did get another trophy from that. We then reached a room with a giant ball in it that has been talking to Jesse this whole game. And I'm honestly still confused if the ball was a good guy or not, because it didn't really lead to anything. We kind of just freed it from his constraints, which was also super annoying to do, by the way, and I died a lot. We then got sent to this alternate world where Jesse was within her mind, and it was very cool, although a bit confusing like the rest of this game. I actually think that's a perfect way to describe control. Very cool, but I have no clue what I'm doing. After overcoming her brain and thoughts though, it did lead us back to reality, and we had one last mission of taking control of both Dylan, Jesse's brother, and the slide projector, who was the bad guy. And this was done by just making it up this parkour path without dying, and then using the force with copious amounts of prayer on Dylan's bald-ass head. The end, and here's the final main story trophy. So now it's time for stage 2, which is kind of just a general cleanup and free roam, but it also mostly contains us doing side quests, seeing as there is 18 of those and you need to complete almost all of them for trophies. But as you would expect, I got a lot of other stuff done while doing these naturally. So let's begin this slop. I am so lost right now. And before doing any side quests, I actually just got 2 random trophies from upgrading stuff and making weapon things. Very descriptive, yes, I know, thank you. I then reached another astral plane and unlocked the boost ability, which allows us to dodge basically, and very helpful. Wish I would have had that 4 hours ago. I then completed my first bureau alert in the game. This is a quick time quest that happens occasionally and usually gives you about 20 minutes to finish the goal it has, which also almost always has us just killing people. Such violence, I love it. I then did another astral plane challenge right after. This time, however, it was for a mind control mechanic to use on enemies when they are at low HP. Kind of cool, but I also barely use it since whenever I got an enemy that low on HP, they usually die. But yeah, it was a trophy. And the next trophy I got was also from astral plane ability unlocking. Turns out I should have been doing this the whole time while doing the main story, and I now feel stupid because I beat the game with pretty much just the tutorial skills. I think I'm gonna cry. I then did a side quest against an object of power, which was a fridge. And the fridge had a very dark inside to it, leading to a massive boss fight against a fridge. I know what you're thinking. Hey, that doesn't look like a fridge, and I would also agree, that is no fridge, goddammit. But the fight was actually kind of hard, and I got a trophy during it, so that's cool. And I then got another one after beating it, so that's also cool. And about an hour later on, I also got a trophy, but this time it was from controlling 10 enemies total in their minds. W skill. I then returned to a side quest that was given to me from this dude, and after chatting about the weather, I got a trophy. And a while after that, I went on with no more trophies because all of the easy ones are kind of gone now, and I do have to grind a little bit. I won't complain though, this game was under 20 hours, so it's a W platinum in my book. But I did finally grab 120 collectibles total, and again, you don't have to go out of your way for these because upon completing most of the side quests in the game, you do get a few collectibles, so that's cool, and a trophy. I then did another side quest that had us battle against the Anchor, which is another object of power, and this boss fight, in my opinion, is the hardest in the game, only because you can't really just abuse the guy. You have to time your attacks and wait for him to attack you before you can. Also, a bunch of enemies just bombard you throughout, and I died a lot. The struggle was real, and this took me like an hour to do. It was actually sad. I did not feel accomplished upon winning and getting the trophy. In fact, I would say I don't even deserve it. But after that, I got a very easy and simple trophy from just using 50 ability points to upgrade my skills in the skill tree. I then completed my 5th bureau alert next, which is the final alert trophy, and I no longer have any reason at all to do those because they are kind of dumb overall. And speaking of overall things, I killed my 1000th hiss overall next for the only trophy relating to kill counters on hiss overall. I then completed my 10th side quest next. Yes, we were only at 10. This is tragic, but it was a trophy. And I was on another side quest later, which had us fight Jessie's double or something, and after defeating her, we got a trophy, so that's cool. I also defeated a mold boss fight right after for another boss trophy and got that right here. And that was also my last side quest I needed for 15, so I got that trophy along with it. However, the grind isn't quite done yet, obviously. That's because the remaining trophies have us doing a ton of board countermeasures, which are a type of side quest, but more just a challenge of getting kills in a certain way. I also did have to do another few boss fights for side quests I didn't have yet, so I did that and killed a boss called Mr. Tomasi right here for another trophy. And I then got one of my last combat trophies from 10 kills with shield burst for a trophy a few minutes after the previous one. And I was then on to the board countermeasures grind, which took me around 2 hours to get 25 done with. And after the first 5, I got a trophy called War Games, only beginning torture. I then sat in my gaming chair for 2 hours straight and literally just went after those relentlessly until finishing my 25th one right here for another trophy pop. And that was it for all the trophies except one, that being from spending 100 upgrade points total. After finishing all the stuff I just did, I still needed around 18 or 20 upgrade points. These are mostly gotten from side quests, but you can also get them from finding hidden locations throughout the game. And so I then followed this great video guide to get 20 hidden locations and enough upgrade points for the trophy, which I did get right here, and the platinum trophy pop along with it. So that was the Control platinum trophy experience. Overall, I think the game is good and more just creative, which I think is why a lot of people really like it, because it's not like any other game per se, and creativity should always be awarded above the generic, first-person shooter being made 23 times. However, I do have some complaints in the story and story direction. I just kind of feel like they could have explained it much better, and I think giving more time into the story's length would have helped for sure, but it is what it is, I guess. Rating the game out of 10, I'll give Control a 7.5, and yeah, my asshole fucking burns.